Hi, I'm Bran, and I love HBO Max Christmas movies.
I'm Dan, and I despise HBO Max Christmas movies.
I'm Alonzo, and there were a bunch of HBO Max Christmas movies, and this
Is the
Deck the Hallmark podcast. Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast.
Brandon and friends host this podcast.
We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Yeah,
Yes,
we're
sir.
back, everybody.
Yeah.
On Monday,
New
a
year, new
Christmas
us.
movie, the way that God intended. It's great to be back, everybody.
That's right.
Alonzo, hello, buddy. It's great to see you.
Hey, Happy New
New
Year.
Year. Thank you to you and yours as
Alonzo
well.
said he would be on the show, but he pleaded to not let Brand select any more Christmas classics for him. That was the agreement.
Look, I go where y'all send me, but 2022 had so much Christmas content that it was impossible to keep up with during the calendar year of 2022, and you guys certainly had your hands full with all the Hallmark and some of the Lifetimes. So this is what we're doing now. We're just gonna wade back
I
into
think
everything.
Pick at them as best we can.
I can foresee us, Alonzo, going back to the 25 weeks of Christmas. Well, at some point, I think it's just was too much fun for both of us. But and there's too many black and white movies for me to fall asleep through that I didn't get to. So, but there was over, what was it? Oh, did it end up being over 250 new Christmas movies?
I think Sleepy
right?
Kitty Paw's final tally was something like 236, but it was
Okay.
staggering.
Yes. And so many networks, so many streaming services, so many different things that I honestly didn't know existed. So we're going to try to hit as many possible different networks as possible. Many of
Including
the networks,
QVC Plus, right?
As many
Including
possible
QVC Plus.
different networks as possible.
as many different networks as possible.
Got it.
Many of the networks are also available right here on Philo, which is fantastic. If you're not watching us on Philo, at least get Philo because of all the channels and all the movies that you get to watch, including Hallmark, Lifetime, and The Sword. Philo.tv/DTH is the way to do that. But we got a lot of requests to do this movie that we're doing today. And so while it is different than I think most of the other movies that we're going to be covering, because it's not like your traditional made for TV joint, it did drop on the HBO Max. It's just we could not do it, and so it feels right to do this one, get it not get it out of the way as if we're not excited to talk about it, but do it first.
Priorities.
Not right now. That's exactly right. But I really quickly, before we dive into Christmas Story Christmas, I don't know if people notice or not, there was a Christmas Story. It's a very popular movie. It's been played a few times. It is in my top 3 favorite Christmas movies of all time. I watch it every Christmas day to close out Christmas. It's how I close out Christmas. I love this movie, and I feel like I might be the one of the 3 of us that loves it the most.
Alonso's lowest on it. I'm not top 3 all time, but
What is your top 3?
It does hold. Typically, I say It's a Wonderful Life, Elf, and I usually say The Santa Claus. I love that movie. I was 10 years old,
my top 3
and
too.
it was like those 3. It's a Wonderful Life, Elf, Santa Claus.
At least they had How About a Pie.
Those are the 3 that I watch every year. I mean, this movie is one that I've always said, oh yeah, Christmas Story classic. And then I realized I've probably not seen it in 5 or 6 years. I do think that it's a movie that it was just like a rite of passage growing up. And I think it becomes this tradition that is just ingrained in what Christmas movies
I don't know this about you, and I do feel like that I should. It is like, do you watch your top 3 every year?
I watch Elf.
What's your Christmas? Do you watch movies over and over again at Christmas?
Elf the day after Thanksgiving every year.
I know that.
No questions asked. The Santa Claus we would watch every year, and usually It's a Wonderful Life I would have on at some point or another.
Sure.
But now that I have kids, the Benedict Cumberbatch Grinch has become a mainstay in our house. And they also love the Santa Claus.
Yeah. Did they see that this year?
Them saying, when I wake up, I'm getting a cat skin is one of my joys as a father. Yeah. They don't quite say it. They're like, when I wake up, I'm getting a cat skin. And I'm just like, this is.
There's so many great lines in Santa Claus.
Yeah, when I wake up, I'm getting a cat skin. That's top notch. And so, so those, we've watched a lot of Grinch. Right now, they also love the Mariah Carey "All I Want for Christmas Is You" movie about little Mariah getting a rescue dog. And
the cartoon. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it is something.
Not the Mariah special that came out this year.
I would say if I'm listing them, Christmas Story is like at the back end of my top 10, probably. Okay. Yeah.
And I don't dislike Christmas Story. I think it's fine, and I get why it becomes a go-to for people every year. It's just, I'm, again, this will come up as it always does. I'm a little older than y'all. It came out when I was in high school. And
you don't look at Alonzo. You don't look it.
Oh, stop. Anyway, so it never imprinted on me in that way, but I quote it, and I've seen it multiple times, and I get why people like it. If I have 3 that I watch without fail every December, it's probably It's a Wonderful Life, White Christmas, and Desk Set, which I made Bran watch last year for 25 weeks. And those aren't necessarily my 3 favorite, but they're just the ones that I without fail will rewatch every year.
Yeah. The thing about this one that's different than a lot of my other favorite ones is this one is a classic, but I didn't grow up watching it. I did watch it like not later in life, but like it wasn't a movie that I watched when I was 5. Like this was like, I don't know.
I didn't watch it till middle school.
Yeah. I didn't watch it till high school at least. Yeah. And so, whereas I watched National Lampoon Christmas for the first time as an adult, and I just didn't like it. And I rewatched it this past year, and I still am just kind of like, it's just I'm exhausted at the end of this movie, which is not what I want out of a Christmas movie. Christmas Story for me, the thing that I love about it is especially the ending of this movie. To me, is the perfect way to close out Christmas. When the dad and the mom are on the couch, the snow is falling, the lights are off. Just the Christmas lights are illuminated, and it's just perfect. Then it cuts to Ralphie in his bed sleeping with a gun. It's just the perfect way to end Christmas.
With a gun. Yeah.
That's exactly right, God baby. Intended. That's exactly right. Yeah. So anyway, shout out. And there's a sequel.
Many
sequels, but this is the one with the original crew.
We would call this a lega sequel is what the term I think.
Ooh, a legacy.
A lega sequel.
Yeah, legacy sequel. So because yes, we had a Christmas Story 2, we had a Summer Story, and multiple other sort of Gene Shepard adaptations throughout the years. But this is the one where Peter Billingsley comes back. A lot of the other former kid actors who are now grown-ups come back, so we're going to pretend those other ones didn't happen.
Yeah, of course. Christmas Story Christmas originally dropped on November 17th, 2022, and it went a little something like this. The movie picks up with Ralphie Parker 33 years after the original Christmas Story. He lives in Chicago with his wife Sandy. He has 2 children, Mark and Julie. He's just a regular guy, and he's working on his first novel, trying to get it published. Nobody is interested in writing this, publishing the story. It is out there. It's weird. And no one wants it, and I can't believe it. One day he gets a call that his father, the old man, has died, and so they all go back to Indiana for the holidays and to spend time together, and obviously prepare for the funeral and all that stuff. And he's told by his mom that he needs to write his father's obituary, which is a big task for him. One, it's just a lot, and 2, he's trying to figure out the book, and he's like giving himself until the end of the year basically to get published, and then he's given up the dream. Ralphie's children become friends with the Bumpus kids. Can you believe it? The Bumpuses, they're back, Bumpuses. Everybody. They are bullied by 2 kids with a snowmobile. More on that soon. Ralphie reunites with Flick, who owns a bar, and Schwartz, who just basically runs up a tab at Flick's bar. As Christmas Eve is getting closer and closer, the family goes to Higbee's, where Ralphie finds all of the toys that Mark and Julie have asked for. Gets it all. It's just perfect. The kids go see Santa, who's actually delightful. And on the way back, the car breaks down, and they get out and they start having a snowball fight. So they're having fun. This is amazing. And it's all amazing until he hits his daughter in the eye with a snowball, which requires a trip to the ER. Not a big deal. An eye patch. Who doesn't want an eye patch for Christmas? But the problem is when they get back, they realize that all of the gifts were stolen from the back of the car. They don't have money left to really replace it, so what are we going to do? We get some more fun shenanigans as you have to. Flick is told that his tab will be forgiven if he goes down this ramp. He does it, and the tab is forgiven. But all of that, the joy of the big jump and all of that is quickly ended when Ralphie is rejected by his final publisher that he was waiting to hear back from. The dream is coming to an end. And after some comfort from his wife, and he's remembering his father, and he's in his old house, and he's thinking about Christmas, he finally decides he's going to sit down and he's going to write this obituary, but it quickly becomes very, very long, and it's longer than the normal obituary. So what are you going to do about that? But he leaves it on the desk because he has to get ready for Christmas. And so Mark and Julie managed to get back at the Bullies by building a snowman. There's a whole thing with the snowmobile. That's great. Julie becomes upset because the tree star falls and breaks, which wouldn't typically be a big deal, but Ralphie lied earlier about how important the star is, and so he has to go out and get a new star, which is a problem because everything is closed, but he sees through a window of Flick's bar a star on top of the tree, and he's like, this is perfect. Gonna go get that. He's trying to break in, and he is apprehended by Farkas, who is a police officer now, and actually ends up being quite wonderful and says, thank you so much for almost killing me in that fight when we were kids. It set me on a better path, all of that good stuff. It's Christmas morning, and Ralphie is very confused by all of the compliments that he is getting about this thing that he has written, because no one ever tells him that something he wrote is good. And it comes out that the obituary was sent into the local paper. It was published and is now apparently going to be syndicated. He's going to be able to write more stuff as syndicated columnist. Everything is working out perfectly. And it basically concludes that he's going to begin to write all of the things that we end up seeing in the Christmas Story. And he sits down and he's going to write all of his dad's stories. And that, my friends, was a Christmas Story Christmas. Exactly right. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and we will break this movie down even further here on Deck the Hallmark. A well-placed cough.
Nailed it. Perfect cough there.
Welcome back, everybody. Yes, that's exactly right. Christmas Story Christmas. If you're not talking about it in January, when are you talking about it? Welcome back to Deck the Hallmark. Let's break this movie down. Let's start with the hot take, and I will start with you, Alonzo. What did you think of Christmas Story Christmas?
Well, I think the thing that people tend to forget about the original Christmas Story is that it was part of the reason that it took off originally was that it was this kind of snarky anti-nostalgia movie. You know, the idea being, oh, you think of the Christmas in the 40s as being this like idyllic Norman Rockwell thing, but here's what was really happening. Like, kids are greedy and adults are venal and mean, and, you know, there's all these different things that kind of subvert this notion of this like idyllic, perfect Christmas that we think about. But because A Christmas Story is such a beloved movie now and has become part of people's lives in a repetitious, you know, repeated viewings over the years, you now have nostalgia for this movie that was designed to poke a hole in nostalgia. And so now you get this sequel, and it is so contingent upon your love of A Christmas Story that they keep reminding you of how much you loved A Christmas Story and showing you moments and reliving moments and here's pictures and it was like, when the movie trusted itself enough to get away from that and not just be fan service, I liked it the best. I felt like the new jokes were funny and the new character bits and things were you know, mostly effective. But it just felt to me so mired in, remember how much you love A Christmas Story? Remember that scene in A Christmas Story? That it drove me crazy because it's like, look, obviously we all loved A Christmas Story or we wouldn't be here. Like, you already have a sequel. You don't need to keep selling it to us. So I was kind of mixed on it, and I don't think it's ever going to exist on its own. But I think for super fans of A Christmas Story, they'll stick this on after watching A Christmas Story again, and it'll be a fun little follow-up. I just wish that it could have been more its own thing.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think it's tough when you do movies like this so far after. It is always, it just feels like, hey, remember that thing. Let's show it to you, and then let's do something very similar to what we're doing. And so obviously we can't do the stuck on the flagpole thing again. But what if we shot him off a big thing and he got hurt? So
instead of shooting an eye out, what if we put a snowball in an eye?
And
you see what we did there?
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. I don't like that. Doesn't do a ton for me. I will say the first half of, well, maybe not even first half, first block of this movie, and I'll just call it a block. It's an unknown amount of time. It was a slow to me, and I was like, I don't know. The last half of this movie, I really, really enjoyed. Just had a blast with the cast, and I thought the ending was really sweet. And it's tough because like the old man is tough in the first one because he's like, he's like this guy all movie, and then he gets his son a BB gun, and he's like the best dad of all time.
But that's not written in the narration.
Right.
There's a moment on the couch that maybe is Darren McGavin's best moment when he looks at his wife and kind of does this thing like, I had one when I was his age.
Right.
It's this great moment of he loves his son. And that's not in the narration. That's not written in this obituary.
Right.
Which is a wait what for me, but that's the problem.
Yeah. So, but it goes back to, yes, that's a problem, but it's also like, I think like a lot of people, you have a complicated relationship with your father where you look, there's a lot of flaws in my dad, but also like kind of the best. And so it's a complicated thing that I think that they actually handled very well, but also like I was like, did you guys forget this guy?
Yeah.
So there's that like at the same time, and that's a really tough thing to juggle. But overall I enjoyed it, but not didn't blow me away, but I really did enjoy the second half.
Very disappointed by this movie. There are a couple of gags that work for me, and the rest of this movie I really didn't like. And I hated that because I wanted to like it. I think my thing is that the beauty of A Christmas Story, aside from it being subversive, is that it's not about anything. Like it is a slice of life. Like the closest thing to
it's sketches, as you were saying earlier.
That's right.
Or something else.
The closest thing to a plot point is he wants a certain gift for Christmas, but it is this mix of like childhood wonder and fantasy and Christmas and all these things going wrong. And it doesn't have like a thing it's trying to accomplish. And I think that this movie very much does. Like it has like, I'm a writer and I want to be successful and my dad's dead and I blah, blah, blah. And like, there's a lot of weight in this movie. Like they're trying to make the first Christmas Story mean something, and they don't need to make it mean something. It already means so much to so many people. And then they do this thing that drove me nuts. And it's one of my only two wait whats, but like they shoehorn this narration from the first movie is the spoiler alert as the obituary in the second movie. And it's just not a match. Like it doesn't work at all. And you're supposed to kind of get chills and love the fact that they married the two movies.
Yeah.
But it's such a ham-fisted way. There were so many ways you could make him writing that narration at the end of this movie.
Right.
And I just never felt like it all coalesced. There are a few bits I did laugh at, and we'll get to those, and I'll talk about them a little bit in the fields. But
because A Christmas Story didn't feel like a love story to his dad.
Not at all.
Right?
Oh no.
But that's how I took this. This is all leading up to him basically writing,
and it becomes this origin story for Gene Shepard, basically, which is
absurd. Yeah. And I that part of it didn't land for me at all, and I wanted it to land. I got like cringy chills. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, they did that, huh?
Yeah.
So that was unfortunate, and I just. I just kind of wanted my time back, and I wish they had not made it. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. I feel terrible, but it just was really, really bad.
Didn't they make this movie in like Turkey or something? Where they made this
Romania.
Movie?
No,
Romania.
Sorry, Bulgaria.
Bulgaria. Which
is
really why? Aside from coal.
Money, obviously, coal, definitely. And
they constructed the entire streets like in Bulgaria. The original street,
but they probably would have had to construct it wherever they shot it, and so it was probably cheaper to do it there than to do it in Vancouver or in Indiana or whatever. But yeah,
guys, we can do this, but we gotta go to Bulgaria. I'm not doing this unless I get a trip to Bulgaria out of the deal.
I've been dying to go.
Let's talk about feels. Alonzo, any feels in this one for you?
I didn't get the feels that they clearly wanted me to have. Like the whole thing with the death of the dad just felt weirdly like forgotten about for chunks of the movie, or not impacting the way that people are behaving in this movie. My feels were mainly just the new stuff I was laughing at that wasn't out of the first movie. So I loved the injuries. I thought that was really quite funny, just the fact that they're willing to go there. The whole thing with the hiding from the carolers, I thought was hilarious. The casseroles, just like the new gags they found were where I perked up, like, this is why we're making this movie, so that we can sort of build on what already exists rather than just be a souvenir album of a film that we've already seen. But as far as like emotional feels, probably I would say the fact that Erin Hayes as Ralphie's wife takes a role that was kind of nothing and really elevates it in terms of her relationship with her husband, with her kids, with her mother-in-law. And so I thought she was doing a lot of heavy lifting to really make those moments land where they might not have otherwise.
Yeah, I agree with that. I as people who create things, like seeing his words in print, getting the phone call he's going to be syndicated, that all worked for me. Like, it's, when we found out that our book was getting published, we were like, why did they say yes to that? And then to actually get it in your hands is another thing. I was in Barnes & Noble last weekend, and I went over and I saw the book, and it's still exciting to see it on shelves, like in actual stores, which I obviously took a copy and put it closer to the front of Barnes & Noble, as you do. And so it's exciting. And so that gave me creator feels.
I liked the snowman bit to get the snowmobile broken. I thought that was really funny. I laughed really hard.
Yeah.
You see it coming right before it happens, and it really worked for me. I was on an airplane watching this movie, and I just guffawed when that happened. I thought it was really, really funny. And then I really admired Julie Haggerty, who plays the mom in this movie. I believe the mom from the first movie, I don't remember her name, is no
Melinda Dillon. She's actually still with us,
just retired.
I don't know why they didn't bring her back, but
that's weird.
Yeah, if you're going to replace her with somebody, then I think Julie Haggerty is as good as you're.
I mean, it's a thankless role to not to have to play the mom and not be the original mom, but I thought her comedic sensibilities made it fun. And then I just this movie did give me warm feels about Darren McGavin's role in the original, and how curmudgeon-y he is, and all of that stuff. I thought was really, really fun.
Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back with the wait what and the take it to the max here on Deck the Hallmark.
Take it.
Happy Monday. We are back here on Deck the Hallmark. Hopefully you're watching on the follow. We're talking about Christmas Story, Christmas, and it's time for the Wait What. It's where we talk about what in this movie made us go wait what, and I will start with you, Alonzo. Alonzo, much wait what's for you?
Got a couple, yeah. So the inciting incident here is the death of the old man, which you would think would be like a more somber occasion, but the idea instead is that no. We have to really blow it out and do us a big old Christmas the way he would have wanted. Like, I think he might have wanted a period of mourning first.
That's right.
But we're just going to skip right over that. So that struck me as kind of an odd choice. And then, the whole thing, the arc of Scott Farkus now being a cop, but his kids still being bullies. I'm like,
Right.
Yeah.
okay.
That was a big one for me.
If Scott Farkus is still a bully and also a cop, I'll buy that. That's a
Yep.
thing
Yes.
that happens. And then his kids being bullied also. But if Scott Farkus is a reformed bully now turned peace officer, but allows his kids to run roughshod and be little buttholes, I'm like, no, he would be stricter about that, about them not following in his footsteps. So that to me felt like a second generation thing that didn't hold water really. So those were my main ones.
I didn't have a ton of normal ones. My biggest one that just bothered me, and it still bothers me, is while I think that who they got to play the mom,
Julie Haggerty,
is swell. It bothered me. I think like the original Christmas Story mom is so good, and yeah, the old man died. Obviously, you can't. I just think if she doesn't want to do it, then let's just
make
if
the movie,
or
kill her too.
Kill her too.
Wow.
Have them both be dead. Like it just, I didn't like it.
Real Aunt Viv situation.
I didn't like it one bit. I don't know if
they could have at least brought in Mary Steenburgen, who played the mom in A Summer Story, aka It Runs in the Family, which was the first attempt to make a sequel for these movies.
That sounds miserable.
Yeah, sure. Whatever.
It's not good, but she's great,
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I thought that like the mom in the first one is just so good.
Yeah.
And like if she's retired and she doesn't want to do the movie, to me it just felt icky. It felt icky. The whole thing felt icky, and I didn't.
I mean, they even bring back the original Randy,
right?
For like no, like and not include him in the movie for most of the movie for no good reason. I thought, well, he's just going to do this whole movie via Zoom, but then he shows up at the end. I'm like, oh, so
flew him to Bulgaria.
Exactly. Why not
wild.
have him in the whole thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that
it feels like you just think this Christmas Story is just such a pure thing that we couldn't possibly get someone else to play the role of the mom.
It's not that it's that. It's that they did everything else.
And then they didn't do that.
And then they didn't do that.
That's fair.
Not
this movie. No, I get it. The existence of this movie is contingent on the fact that, hey, it's Peter Billingsley.
We got everybody. We got everybody back.
That's weird.
Except for, I don't know. So many big moments in the first one revolve around her.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
To me,
like,
I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I know it didn't bother you because you hate all things good. I don't know. I didn't like it, and it made me go away. What? And I'm still going away. What? Clearly, I have not let it go.
Yeah. This obituary made the front page.
Well, it was so long that it didn't get put in the obituaries. They put it on the front page.
So they were like, "This is an obituary, and it's so long and so good, that it's going to be on the front page of the paper."
It was good.
You know what? There's probably not a lot of competition on Christmas Day for the front page, really. Like that edition mainly exists to have all the flyers for the after Christmas sales. So they're like, sure, great.
What if I told you there was a movie that gets played for 24 straight hours on 2 channels? Would that drive you nuts? So there's an obituary that's put on the front page.
And I will say this, and I do want to make it clear. I said it in my hot take, but like, this isn't an obituary. Like nothing in the movie or the narration from the first movie is in any way, shape, or form an obituary. It is not.
A eulogy, maybe, but not an obituary.
At its best, and that's being generous. And then lastly, there's some silly things in the first Christmas Story, but there's nothing I don't think that if you actually did would kill you. And in this movie, these guys at the bar decide they're going to go down this giant, like it literally would murder you. Like if you did this, you would die. They're
adults now. It's okay.
And I just don't understand. I don't understand why they thought the beauty of that first movie is while it all is a little hazy and weird and like tongue stuck to the pole is like a little bit, that at worst case scenario, you're losing your taste buds, right? Like this is death. Like this is blunt force trauma, head injuries, And they just go whole hog with it. Like it's something that we would have seen in the first movie, and I couldn't get over it.
Don't try this at home.
Yeah. It was at least that 10 minutes of the movie was the 10 minutes where it lost. Like it finally lost me. Like I was like, this is not good, but I'm going to stay. And I was like, this is just terrible. Like it's just bad.
Adults will be adults when they're playing kids versions. When they're
playing up a high tab, you're likely to just
nothing you can do. Also,
there are a lot of bars in this movie, by the way.
Yeah,
because there's also the cocktail lounge at Higbee's department store.
That's right. Which ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I can go to grocery stores and go to the bar, but I
get a beer.
It's still a thing that blows my mind. But
started building those during COVID.
Shop more.
Please come in here. We have alcohol. We've got TVs. Come sit down while you shop. It's great. I love it. Let's get to the take it to the max. We wonder what could have been, maybe happened. I don't know what to do here because I don't know if you know this. There's also another movie that expounds on what this movie is eventually heading towards. But let's give it a shot.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, are we going to get a Christmas Story, where it's about the making of the movie A Christmas Story, and now like Ralphie is narrating it because he's Gene Shepard, and they hire the guy who made Black Christmas to come in and direct it, and then there's another kid who looks like Peter Billingsley who's playing the role of young Peter Billingsley. Anyway, that's
we've gone down the rabbit.
Layered.
The mind boggles.
No kidding.
You know what? If Randy wasn't in this movie at all, I would have been like, I wonder where Randy was. But now that he was in the movie for a short second, now I feel like I need a whole Randy movie. Now that I know he's available, now I know Randy is, still willing to act. It's not like the mom.
Bad.
Exactly. Bad. It's not like the mom who's retired and said, I don't want to come back. Okay, whatever. I guess we'll recast her. So we have to make the movie. No, Randy, who's willing to act, willing to come to Bulgaria, probably quarantine, get COVID tested for 10 seconds in this movie. I need more Randy. I need a full Randy movie.
Yeah. My take it to the max was just Randy question mark. Yeah. It was like, what? We did a lot to get this guy in the movie. And now it's like, why did we do all this work? And I guess I need to know more about what he's doing, traveling around the world. And, and I do look, the guy wasn't bad as an actor. I would go as far as to say he's the Jim Carrey of our generation.
Nice callback.
Yeah. I didn't get the Randy bit at all. And so I'd like to see more or less, one or the other.
True.
You can't just have someone pop in for that short amount of time. Guys,
odd choice. I really want to know what the decision making behind all that was.
Do you think there was more with him and they cut it and Randy's like, oh shit, I came all the way out here and got nothing?
Well, they structured as though he wasn't coming out there, so that was maybe they wrote it that way. They're like, oh, we can get him. Well, we can't really change the script at this point. Who knows?
Yeah, man,
something.
But
yeah, this was. They shot this during, like, they would have done a full lockdown. Like, the guy could traveled across the world for this.
Yeah. Sure did.
Had to do a whole thing.
Maybe he lives in Bulgaria.
Maybe
he was like, guys, I'm in the neighborhood. Could I stop by?
We weren't going to invite you, but since you're here, I guess.
Down the street.
I'll bring my own craft services. Just let me be Randy again.
He was actually already working on a replica of the house. And then he was like, guys, you want to shoot us in Bulgaria? I'm already doing the thing.
Get out of here, Randy.
But you leave. We'll let us use that. We did, everybody. Congratulations. We are kicking things off real good here on a Monday, and we're going to keep things going because next week we travel into the world of the unknown, an area that I didn't know was going to dive into Christmas movies, but they decided to. Streaming service I didn't know existed until I found out about this movie. We're talking about QVC Plus, everybody. QVC Plus, with a movie called Holly and the Hot Chocolate, which, from what I've heard, it's an hour and 10 minutes. Is that
I was going to say, good news for Dan. This is like a 66-minute.
It's a tight 70, huh?
Yeah. Let's
just call the number on
out.
your screen right now.
We're getting very close to it just being a TikTok, right? Like we're just it's like how many different people can make Holly and the Hot Chocolate.
We will find out.
The Holly and the Hot Chocolate when they are both full grown.
Who was watching QVC and going, I wonder if they could make a movie.
Man, if we could get a Christmas movie here, but like not long, like an hour, 66 minutes tops.
The question now being, if QVC can do one, what are you guys doing?
Hey, listen.
Chop.
Don't say it. Listen, we got a town out here we could film for free.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that Greenville.
Yeah.
Bramblesham Plus presents.
That's right.
We did, everybody. We're going to be back next Monday with another one of these. We'll be back tomorrow with another Deck the Hallmark. Until then, may we be the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.